hack and slash. More like hock into it, am I right?
Ooh, you suck.
No! That was funny! Say it was funny! Welcome back to the channel. I am the Pumpkin Air, and today we're going to be covering the hack and slash comic series because it blew out everything else in the poll. I've never had that happen before, so hopefully it's a freaking banger. Also, I found out that the main character is a high school dropout, so I'm not gonna be sexualizing her in this video. I know that's like my thing, but like I want to like look myself in the mirror when I wake up. Created by Tim Seeley for Devil's Due Publishing and Image Comics, this comic is like a horror love letter. She debuted in 2004 as a one-shot called Hack and Slash Euthanized, and was soon followed by multiple one-shots and miniseries that ended in 2006. After this, they gave her an ongoing series in 2007 that lasted 32 issues, but then it ended in 2010. Soon thereafter, the series gets picked up by Image, and they released 3 miniseries in a span of 5 years. But then the series kind of like died off. Well, that's until it got revived by a joint publication with Dynamite Comics, and they've published multiple miniseries since 2017. Like, I'm pretty sure the last one came out in 2024, so they're still around and kicking. They've also had a bunch of crossovers with The Crow, Chaos Comics, Chucky, and Ash from Evil Dead. She's also met with characters that have been on the channel before, like Bomb Queen and Vampirella. So she's met some heavy hitters. So I say let's take a look at her debut comic and see if she's worth the hype. Let's take a look at Hack and Slash Euthanized. The issue starts with a cheerleading camp 20 miles outside of Springfield, Illinois. We see a couple walking out in the woods talking about all the disappearing cheerleaders. But the girl says she's not too worried though, because she's got the coach with her. They stop in the middle of the field and he tells her to turn around because he has a little surprise. She gets annoyed and does it, and the guy's about to murder her. But he gets cut down instead by this zombie looking guy named Vlad, who asks the girl if she's okay. She's like, yeah, because we solved the case of the missing girl. They wait for the jerk to come back so they can double tap him, but that nigga dead. So the two of them go on their merry way. That girl is Cassie Hack, and she's had a rough upbringing. She grew up in a small town in Wisconsin with her loving mom, who was a lunch lady at her high school. Cassie was kind of an outcast, so she got picked on a whole bunch at school. But then all of her bullies started to mysteriously disappear, all while a new mystery meat was being served in the cafeteria. Well, all signs point to her mom, who was cooking the bullies up and serving them to people. And when the police came after her, she drowned herself in boiling gravy. Honestly, me during Thanksgiving. Well, I mean, it gets the job done, leaving Cassie all alone as she gets put in the foster system. She goes to a new school, but rumors about her mom follow her there, and now she's even more unpopular. But suddenly her bullies start disappearing again, and it turns out that her mom pulled a Jason and became a hot vigilante mommy who still wants to protect her daughter. But Cassie, who's filled with guilt from all the deaths caused by her mom, hunts her own mom down and kills her. And now, driven from that guilt, she's vowed to become a killer of killers. Kinda like TV show Dexter. Am I like Dokes? Hold on. Bow, bow, bow. Bow, bow, bow. Anyway, during one of her hunts for a slasher, she runs into Vlad, a messed up looking gentle soul who becomes her traveling companion and helps her with her cause. And that's how we got our dynamic duo. We then cut to Indiana where we see this guy singing Taylor Swift. He gets into his car where he immediately gets choked by his girlfriend. Oh, I need it. And he feels the same way because he immediately starts macking on her. But she sneezes and asks if he's been working with cats. He says no, but when he looks outside, they see a whole bunch of zombie kiddies. They're about to get the heck out of there, but a zombie snake slithers up between the guy's legs and releases a zombie cat. The girlfriend makes a run for it when she runs into this mysterious dude, but he's actually the slasher, and he cuts her down with a shovel. Goddamn! We then cut to a diner where Cassie and Vlad are having lunch. The painters are staring at him, and Cassie's like, what's the big deal, dog? They show them the newspaper of the couple that got killed, and since it has slasher written all over it, they decide to investigate. Cutting back to the shelter, we see that one of the employees has to turn away a customer because of, everything that happened. A woman veterinarian comes out, and she starts to break down, so the man named Kyle comforts her. She's upset because this is the second coworker to die within a year. But their conversation gets cut short because Cassie and Vlad just came to the shelter, and they're there to ask some questions. But they're told to screw off by this gruff man because he says they've been through enough. His name is Donovan, and he's the sheriff leading the investigation in these parts. And he radios to his department to keep an eye on these two. He hugs the doctor because apparently they go way back, and he whispers that this wasn't one of something. And he turns to Lisa and says he's going to take care of everything. We then cut to later, where Cassie and Vlad are staking out the vet's office. While they're waiting, Vlad asks her why she does this when people are so mean to her. And she says somebody's got to do it. Plus, if she doesn't, she's going to have to rejoin the real world, and that freaking sucks. And I agree, the real world does suck. They notice a cop poking around in the woods. He was sent by Donovan to find something, but he trips and he falls into a shallow grave that's full of zombie animals. He's about to get attacked by them, but Cassie and Vlad zoom into action, which is good because the animals are heading towards the town. Cutting back to the sheriff's office, we see that Donnie's chilling out with a girl named Dana, and as they're hanging out, their dog starts freaking out and scratching at the door. Donnie goes over to see what's up, but then a zombie wolf breaks through and attacks our boy. He tells Dana to make her run for it, but she says fuck that and tries to grab an axe to help. But then she just immediately gets eaten by the zombies. Probably should have just listened to what he said. Cutting back to Cassie, she's on her way to the police station, all while running through all these animals. And when they get there, they start mowing down the zombies. And honestly, it's kind of awesome. Get him, Cassie! We then cut back to the sheriff, and he was able to take out all the animals. He calls his friend Kyle, who doesn't pick up. And while he leaves his message, the slasher comes up behind him, and he tells him to tell Lisa that he loves him. And then he gets murked. Kyle listens to the message that he left, and it's saying that the slasher is coming after everyone that was there that night, and he's definitely next. So he should probably try to get help from Cassie and Vlad, which is good because they just pull up to his house. And then after this, we finally get some answers. It all started after Lisa opened a vet clinic. They hired this guy named Bobby Brunswick, who was in charge of euthanizing the special cats. He was a pretty chill guy, and he was in love with Lisa, which is rough because she was seeing Kyle at the time. And it's even more rough for Kyle because she actually likes him back, which pisses off Kyle. So he gets his friend Todd to terrorize him. One day, they wanted to mess with him, so they trapped him in a gas chamber? Huh? Why does this veterinarian's office have a gas chamber? What are they doing to those animals? Well, these psychos turned the gas on and killed Bobby. Then they got Danny Boy to help them cover everything up so that Kyle could continue to be with Lisa. Bro. Let Bobby kill these guys, bro. They deserve to die! Well, Lisa kind of feels the same way because she wails on him and goes upstairs. And Cassie says he deserves to die. But they decide to help him anyway because Bobby's hurting innocent people. He asks how because he's already dead. But they explain that he's a slasher, which means he has so much anger that he couldn't stay dead. So he rose again. We then see upstairs where Lisa is crying in the bathtub. But then she feels licking on her hand. She thinks it's her puppy, but it's actually Bobby checking on her. She screams, which alerts everyone. And then a dog bursts through the window and almost kills Kyle. But Cassie shoots it just in time. Bobby tries to talk to Lisa, but Vlad throws a dog through the door and whips his punch. He whacks Vlad with a shovel, knocking him out. Bobby says that he'll be back for Lisa. We then see Cassie is trying to get a snake off of Kyle, but they both get knocked out by Bobby and then kidnapped by him. Cassie wakes up mid-kidnapping and stabs Bobby to get set free. Bobby is about to kill Kyle, but Lisa shoots a huge hole in him. Like, good lord, was that a hollow point? What the fuck? She shoots him again, allowing Kyle to get free. And when Bobby goes for the final attack, Cassie blows his head smooth off, saving the day. We then cut to outside where they just left that nigga outside. That's actually crazy. That's so disrespectful, bro. He gets murdered and then you still leave him out? What the hell? And we see that Vlad's gonna be okay because he gotten taken care of by Lisa. We then see Cassie in the shower, and she asks Vlad if he remembers that he asked her why she did this. She says it's actually because she has all this rage and hate in her, because every time she looks in the mirror, she sees her mom, and she's worried that she has enough hate and anger in her that she'll become a slasher herself. So she kills him because she's scared of becoming like them, which is fair, but like, bitch, go to therapy. And that's where the one shot ends, and I gotta say, it's actually really peak. I can see why I got so many continuations. I like low-key wish that I covered this for Halloween instead of Vampirella. I mean, like, it probably would have corrupted then too. Fuck me, bro. I'm so mad it got corrupted. That nigga can't have shit, bro. Cassie is like actually a fun character. She kind of reminds me of like Julie Winters from the Max and like, I don't want to say Wednesday Addams, but like Wednesday Addams. I think the story's really solid. I like Vlad and Cassie's dynamic. They should do an epilogue about Cassie killing Kyle because he deserves to die, bro. Now that's just her first ever comic. I think we should check out Cassie's origin story so we can see her from humble beginning. So let's take a look at My First Maniac. This issue starts with this big old bitch getting domed. The shooter is Cassie, and she just took out her mom who was planning on carving up one of Cassie's bullies. She's clearly traumatized, but she gets her mom's body and drives her to her gravesite. And while she buries her, a bunch of things are running through her head. How heavy the gun was. How could she shoot her mom? All she knows is that she wants to put her mom back in her new home because she knows that she's never going to have one again. We then cut to the next morning where Cassie's being woken up by her foster mom, Karen Moore. She asks if she washed her uniform. And when Karen brings it in, Cassie wonders how things would have been if Karen was her mom, instead of, you know, a killer busted bitch. We then meet Sharon Moore, who's her foster dad. And he's like low-key scared of her because she's a teenage girl. We then cut to the school where there's a whole bunch of buzz about the girl that Cassie's mom almost killed. They don't know who did it, but they all just kind of assume it's Cassie because all this started after she joined the school. Even the teachers are suspicious of her. She straight up dissociates the entire school day. Well, except for gym class, where she can finally let out some steam and just wails on the sandbag. After school, these girls follow Cassie into the woods and start beating the crap out of her. They think that she has something to do with the kidnapped girl, and she lets them beat her up because she thinks that she deserves it. Bro, will somebody just give this girl a hug? Oh my god! Love yourself! She goes home where Karen finds her all bruised and bloody, so she tends to her wounds. And when Shannon comes home, the two of them watch some cheesy movies, and she finally gets to feel like she's at home for a little bit. But that's only short-lived, because she does some research to see if her mom coming back was a unique experience. But she sees that there's... Wait, is that Spawn? Oh my god, bro, Spawn mention? Anyway, she sees a whole bunch of examples of people coming back to life, dating all the way back to Jesus. And they say he died and came back to show his love. But what about those who come back from their hate? Which is a great question, because we cut to some people drinking in a field in Iowa. This couple goes off on their own and starts their doming process, but it turns out that they're not alone. We then cut to a bruised Cassie being woken up to go to school. When she's there, she hears all the gossip about her getting her ass beat the day before. And when the school day is over, they try to run it back on her. They tell her to admit that she killed the girls, but Cassie just starts beating the crap out of them. She tells her bully that if they put their hands on her again, she's gonna kill them. And then she heads on home, where she does more research on these slashers. And apparently she lives in the Freddy vs. Jason universe because they reference both of them. And clearly she's the only good thing that came from that universe because that movie fucking sucked. And before any of you guys say it's a good movie, no No, it's not. You know it's not. And no amount of coping that you try to do in the comments is going to change my mind. We then cut to later where Cassie's spending time with Karen and Shannon. And they actually seem like they're having a good time. Or so it seems, because later when the parents are asleep, Shannon's woken up with a knife to the throat. It's Cassie who tells her daddy to listen up. She tells him that she's leaving and she doesn't want them to look for her. And if she does, well, I'm sure he gets the idea. Then she goes to leave to kill some of these slashers. And that's how the first issue ends. And I gotta say, it's a lot sadder than the last one. Like, she deadass could have just had a life, just a tragic backstory, but she's throwing it all away so she can murder some bad guys. Honestly, never mind. That's kind of peak. So after all that, you're probably wondering what happened next, right? Well, Cassie has a job as a barback, and in her free time, she does more researching about these slashers. She found out about the fig farm, where farmer had a super hot daughter who he never let leave the house. But apparently some local boys knew about her anyway. They used to sneak onto the farm so they could chill with her, until one day the boys started doing the tango with her. Well, this clearly pisses off the farmer, who forks the hell out of the guys who bangs her. Then he strung the kids up as a warning to keep them away from his daughter. Now, as you assume, the townsfolk weren't too happy about this, so they formed a mob to kill the farmer. But apparently the entire family offed themselves to avoid persecution. And now she's assuming that the dad came back as a slasher and is killing everybody that comes onto his land. So Cassie decides to investigate. And the first place she checks out is Buffalo Center High School for some reason. But she can't bring herself to go inside because she has social anxiety about not fitting in. And like, honestly, that's real. I feel that. Like, people call me cringe because like I am. But I'm not going to dilute myself and make myself less happy just so that I can fit in. You know what I'm saying? You got this, Cassie. Well, actually, she doesn't have it because she comes up with a different plan. Later on, when she leaves her job, she sees a guy getting absolutely harassed by some dudes. They start beating the crap out of him, but these random people start defending him. The dude pulls out the 9, but then Cassie hits him with a bat, breaking his arm. He freaks out and his friend takes him to the hospital. And the girl who helped the guy introduces herself as Sarah and asks Cassie if she'll take them all to the hospital. And after dropping them off, Sarah starts chatting up Cassie and says that we friends now, and asks her to meet her at the vending machine at school. But when Cassie drops her off, she's like, don't hold your breath, bro. We then cut to later where Cassie's sleeping when she hears a voice. It's her mom who's talking about her old stuffed animal. She reaches out to her mom, but she's all rotten and scares the crap out of Cassie, waking her up and traumatizing her. We then cut to later that day where Cassie actually does meet up with Sarah and they become friends. We then cut to the assholes from earlier who are making their way through a cornfield. They stumble upon an old barn full of classic video games. They're not so impressed because they say it's gay. God, these guys freaking suck. But they decide to play a game that they've never played before called Bloodbust. They pick up that something's a little weird, and when they look behind the machine, they find out that it's not even plugged in and find some one-up posters for some guy. He suddenly gets attacked by a crow, which makes him freak out and run into the cornfield, where he immediately gets his throat slit. His friend comes looking for him, but he can't seem to find him. But someone else does. We then cut to the other side of the cornfield where we see Cassie got invited to a bumpin' bonfire. They're all chilling until this guy stumbles upon a scarecrow, which is actually the poor asshole that got strung up. We then cut to Cassie's job where another bumpin' party's happening. And when she gets off work, Sarah pulls up to take her to a party. These are a lot of parties for a flyover state. When they're there, their fun gets cut short because the cops pull up, causing everybody to scatter. Sarah's boyfriend Kelsey says they need to get into the woods across the street. So they make her run for it. When they get there, Kelsey asks Cassie to call Sarah, but she doesn't have a phone because of her mom. But you know, she doesn't want to tell him that. This is when Kelsey puts together that she's like low-key homeless. But she says that Sarah likes her anyway. She even likes her more than him. But he's chill about Sarah liking Cassie more because he says that she brings out a side of her that he hasn't seen before. And that's why he's taking a liking to her too. Which makes things a little uncomfortable. Yeah, like what did you think was gonna happen, bro? The sun starts to come up and they're able to make it back to Cassie's hotel room, where she lets him use the phone. Well, he doesn't get an answer, so he decides to go back to the farm to get his phone. And when he gets there, he finds Sarah all icky and bloody. Cutting back to Cassie, she looks outside and sees asshole number 2 from the other day. He's trying to get some fries from an old fast food bag, but then Cassie kicks him. He starts clinging onto the church that he was next to and starts praying that she won't hurt him. Apparently he's turned to God because he believes he's seen the devil, but he actually saw the slasher that killed his good buddy, and now he refuses to go anywhere near that cornfield. So he makes her draw her a map and give her his gun. When she gets there, she investigates the barn and finds a torn picture of Sarah in the doorway. When she checks out the high score, congrats Matthew, by the way, I'm really proud of you, dude. But then Sarah comes up behind her and hits her with a shovel, knocking her out. And when she wakes up, she's all strung up like the people before. Sarah says she's sorry, but she has to do this. Apparently she's read Cassie's journal and knows what she's up to and doesn't want her to interfere. And then we get to find out what actually really happened. Apparently when Sarah was 15, she had a crush on a dude named Matthew, and he was like the older bad boy type. They used to break mailboxes and do dirty things all summer, but they would never go too far. He was kind of an ass about it though, so he decided they wanted to go to Farmer Fig's daughter to try to get some nookie. And Sarah went with him? Bitch, you better not be killing people for some dude that you went along with so that he could come cheat with you. Anyway, when they get there, they find out that the girl is actually in a vegetative state. And before they can do anything, Farmer Fig catches them and forces them into the barn. They were down there for days until the game turned itself on. Bloodbust. Matthew started playing the game literally all the time until Sarah got so pissed at him that she freaking kills him. Not long after this, the farmer came back to let them go, only to find what she did. He lets her leave and buries Matthew in his field. But Matthew comes back for Sarah, where he shows her that he killed Farmer Fig and her daughter. And now he wants her to bring her more victims so he can kill them like how he killed people in his video game. And because she loves him, she doesn't. She's tried a couple of times to snap him out of it by reminding him of his whole life or trying to make him jealous, but nothing worked. And now she doesn't know what to do. And that's why she liked Cassie so much, because after reading everything that she had to go through with her mom, she knew that they were like one and the same. Sarah asks Cassie if she understands, and she says she does, which relieves Sarah. She tosses her gun and starts to untie Cassie, but then Cassie just straight kicks her in the face as soon as she can. Sarah doesn't understand, and Cassie's like, I'm nothing like you. Then she goes into the cornfield to finish off Matthew. She's trucking, but she stops because she's about to run into some barbed wire. She gets distracted by this random cat, which sucks because Matthew hits her with a hammer. She makes a run for it but falls into a trap, but grabs the barbed wire before she can fully fall in. When she gets out, she goes straight for Matt, but he tanks it and keeps wailing on her. She wraps the barbed wire around his neck, but he just headbutts her, causing her to trip over a body. And that body is Kelsey, and when she sees him, it makes her lock in. Matt swings a hammer at her and she dodges and starts beating the crap out of his face. She beats him so hard that his mask starts to tear off, and she's about to crush his head with the hammer, but gets interrupted by getting hit by a car driven by Sarah. I kind of hate Sarah. Kind of wish that she would get her head smashed in. Sarah's even more pissed off now because she thinks that Cassie has a crush on Kelsey. Oh, yeah. You think that the girl that you tried to murder has a crush on the boyfriend that you did murder? Shut the fuck up, bitch. She tries to run her over, but Kelsey jumps on top of the truck. So Sarah drives it into the barn, revealing the game. Sarah starts beating the crap out of Cassie and talks mad shit. And when Matt comes up behind her, he hits her with the hammer. She falls to the ground and is like, dude, what the heck? Cassie explains that he's going for the high score, and since she killed him, she's kind of like the big boss. And then he smashes her head. After this, Matt goes to play on the game one last time, but Cassie straight domes him, finally ending him. She's still alive, but barely, and she asks Cassie not to let her become one of the slashers. Cassie respects her wishes for some reason and sets everything on fire. We then cut to Chicago where we see a familiar dude rooting through some trash, and Cassie's straight up about to beat the crap out of him, and that's where the issue ends. And I gotta say, this story's a lot sadder than the last one that I read. Like, this poor girl is tortured. Somebody get her some therapy. She made her friend who just turned out to just be the absolute worst. I hate her. But all in all, I really like the story. I really like seeing how Cassie used to operate, like how she actually just didn't know what she was doing before, and how she was navigating that trauma that she went through. Also seeing that she is capable without Vlad. I mean, we see that sometimes throughout the comic, but like, she's able to do it by herself. And seeing how she is when she's by herself and not with Vlad, because when she's with Vlad, she's a lot more funny versus like, you know, depressed. She also got messed up a lot in this hunt. But that's what I thought about the comic, and I would love to know what you guys think down in the comments below. And make sure that you guys like the video and hype it up. Come on. And subscribe so that I can get a crumb of validation. But I'll see you guys in the next one. And make sure that you tell your family that you love them. Bye-bye now.